Welcome to On the Beat, everyone. I'm over here with Sarah Cline Stevens, attorney at law. Today we're talking all about veterans' benefits and long-term care planning. But here's the thing. Maybe you or a loved one are a veteran. Did you realise there are 3 different types of benefits? It's why we wanted to have Sarah back in to break it down. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. A lot of people forget about our veterans, don't they?
They do.
And I think it's super important that you may know of one of the benefits, but you may not have known that there were 3. Let's break them down and have that discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. So the most kind of commonly or widely known benefit is the disability benefit. And that requires a disability that was connected to your service. So they call it a service-connected disability. But there are other benefits that don't require such a service-connected disability. There's also survivorship benefit. So if your spouse was a veteran and they've passed away, you as their surviving spouse might be entitled to some additional benefits. But the one I want to talk about today is what we call the VA pension. And it is a benefit that's available to our veterans regardless of whether they have a service-connected disability or not. They are not required to have any type of disability connected to their service to potentially qualify for this benefit. And that might allow them to stay at home longer, provide in-home care longer, and ultimately have more cash flow that's available to them to pay for the care that they might need.
And this is what we want everyone to know. When you listen to these type of segments, you find out information that's super important. Now, who's entitled to a VA pension benefit to begin with? There's 4 sections?
Yeah, there's 4 different types of requirements that we've got to fit into.
Okay.
One, you have to have been serving in the military for at least 90 days, with at least one of those days being during a wartime period. So they don't have to all 90 days be during a wartime.
Right.
You don't have to be actually deployed during that 90 days. You just have to have one day during a wartime period, and those time frames, they're defined on the VA website. You also have to be 65 or older before you can attempt to apply for any of these benefits. And in addition to that, you have to meet the financial responsibility requirements. You have to have been honorably discharged, but also just not dishonorably discharged.
Right.
So there are other types of discharges that are not necessarily honorable, but they'll still allow you to qualify for this benefit as long as it's not a dishonorable discharge. And then you've got to fall within the financial requirements.
Okay, is this on top of the normal Social Security pension as well?
It's totally
different.
different.
Separate, completely separate. All right, let's talk a little bit about the VA. Didn't the rules just change?
They did last year on October the 18th.
Yeah.
They had a massive rule change, which totally changed the planning options that are available to them. But it actually made it much easier to understand if you're going to qualify or not. In the past, they kind of had subjective rules, like maybe you could have $50,000 of countable resources, maybe you could have $80,000. Now there's no subjective. It's a bright line rule. It's about $127,000. It's tied to some Medicaid benefits planning, asset limits here in the state of Mississippi. So now we've got a hard bright line rule, which is something we've never had in VA planning before, and that makes it easier for us to plan for our clients. They also instituted a 3-year look back period, or a transfer for less than fair market value rule, which was never there before.
Okay, well, let's very quickly talk a little bit about what kind of benefits are we talking about. We're going to bring up some graphs for you while we're doing that. So what are those?
So these benefits range depending on whether the veteran is married, whether they have dependent spouses living at home, and the numbers you're going to see on your screen are different for if we've got a married couple. That's the first set of numbers, and you see that they increase in number depending on the level of care that is needed. So the basic level there, if it's a single veteran, you're starting with $1,127.92. And that goes up. If you're housebound, meaning you need additional assistance, you can't leave your home, the number goes up. If you qualify for aid and attendance and you're married, the veteran and his spouse might be able to get up to $2,200 of benefits. The levels are significantly less for a surviving spouse, but they're still considered very beneficial.
Give Sarah Cline a call. There's all the information up on the screen. We'll be back after this short break.